If every time that you have to relax or every time that you have a rest day from the gym, you end up feeling more anxious than you did on the days where you had to train, and you find yourself busying yourself with a load of shit to do just to keep yourself active because you're so scared of not feeling productive and of gaining weight, or by taking a break, then this video is for you. Hi, my name's Clara and I help self-critical gym goers learn how to actually care for themselves and not get burnt out by the all or nothing cycle by learning to be more compassionate so that they don't end up pressing the fuck it button and ruining their health and their fitness results every second day. And in this video, I'm going to be addressing the issue of not knowing how to relax and feeling on edge when you have to take a rest day, or simply when you're trying to do something that is more relaxing, something that requires chilling, something that isn't actually active. I'm making the assumption that part of this fear comes from a fear of gaining weight and also fear of not being productive enough because of the society that we live in. So this is the problem. You know that you need to take a rest because you feel like you're tired. You know societally that people talk about the importance of rest, but every single time that you try to relax, you feel increasingly anxious, you feel on edge. If it's a rest day from the gym, or if you have to take an impromptu or a spontaneous rest day from the gym, you get incredibly aggy, you get angry, you get stressed. Your mind starts to do backflips trying to decide what you're going to do with food, how you're going to organize your day. It's almost like you can't even think straight, and that's because you're scared of gaining weight and because no one's actually taught you how to regulate yourself in the absence of exercise and in the absence of this thing that makes us feel productive and that is praised by the entirety of society. Of course, this is a problem because you end up being constantly exhausted and burning yourself the fuck out because you do not know how to rest. And I don't mean this in a blaming way. I'm saying it because society doesn't teach us how to rest. We live in a capitalistic society that enforces this idea of productivity all the time upon us. And that applies, of course, yes, to the work setting, but it also means that stepping away from being on this constant do machine is incredibly difficult in an exercise, health and fitness context, like I said, because exercising all the time and being super active and being super healthy, or being seen to be super healthy, or the active person, is praised by every single person. It gives us social capital, it gives us social kudos, it makes us feel like we are good people. Other people make assumptions about us as being good people, and that feels really, really nice. And that is normal, that is okay. There's nothing wrong with you for noticing that, but it is an issue if you cannot take an actual genuine moment of rest without feeling overwhelmed and stressed and anxious, especially if part of that stress and anxiety is coming from this fear, this pervasive fear of gaining weight. Now, as with most things, this issue and noticing this issue of struggling to know how to rest can unfold in two separate ways the more time you spend without actually addressing it. On the one hand, if you cannot feel relaxed or at ease and you keep going again, whether that be within an exercise context or just generally in life, and you cannot relax without feeling on edge because you don't feel good enough at your core, eventually your mind is going to have to do something extreme to pull the brakes. And that is when food binges can come in very, very frequently. I see this in my work all of the time when clients do not have the ability to feel at ease when they rest, and they just go until they burn out. Their body and mind will pull the brakes on them, and often what that looks like is leaning into food, but not just eating food to soothe and relax, eating so much food that there is no other option other than to be in a carb coma, completely paralyzed, not doing anything. And even that doesn't feel genuinely relaxing because that triggers that threat system, that triggers anxiety, it triggers stress, it triggers self-directed criticism, and so it doesn't even become relaxing, and it adds fuel to the machine of fuck, I need to do something now about this and I need to burn all this exercise off, and I'm going to go until I crash and burn, or I'm so tired that the one thing that I know is a reliable way for me to relax is to binge the entire contents of the house, or to go to the shops, buy a load of food, end up binging and crash again into a carb coma and cycle through this loop. And that can of course lead to unwanted weight gain, and even in the absence of weight gain, it can lead to the development of incredibly disordered relationship with food and or with exercise, because it's constantly going between this binge compensate cycle all the time. Again, all very, very, very all or nothing. On the other hand, what can also happen is that when you do not know how to relax, because there's this fear of not being good enough, if you stop being productive, it gives rise to a ton of shame, you feel like you're going to gain weight, and all of these fears are constantly percolating in the back of your mind, you might find yourself constantly going, never actually stopping. And as a result of that, it's going to lead to you developing physical injuries very, very easily, and or causing yourself physical harm. For example, for people who menstruate, in the form of hypothalamic amenorrhea, or again, more broadly for athletes, developing the likes of relative energy deficiency in sports, which by the way doesn't just apply to athletes like Olympians. That could apply to anybody who is very physically active. And of course, it doesn't even include the fact that going can lead to the development of very disordered relationship with both food and with exercise. So both of these can lead to the extremes of the problem presenting. On the one hand, where we find ourselves overusing food as a means to relax, to create a bit of a break, but the overuse of food leading to such a high insurge in shame that we have to compensate for that with food restriction and or over exercise, which again instigates this do feeling, or the do feeling just never ends, and that can lead to physical harm and psychological harm, of course. Now, this is obviously a problem because the more you allow yourself to be stuck in this spiral, the more difficult it's going to be for you to actually be able to connect in the present moment with the things that are important to you. If you're constantly distracted by this pervasive urge to have to do loads of shit, you're never going to pause, you're never going to connect with the people in your environment. You're maybe going to find it a lot more difficult to concentrate, to take in information from the people who are around you, from the people who care about you. You're going to be so in your bubble, and exercise and food or productivity within a work context, etc., is going to be so central to your focus and to your life that you're just going to lose sight of all the other things that are genuinely important to you. And very quickly you can be living in a very narrow life that doesn't lend itself to joy, to shared experiences, to finding meaning and fulfillment. And your life does become very quickly consumed by this urge to counter this feeling of not being good enough, the urge to fight the fear of weight gain, the urge to compensate for that constant feeling of not enoughness. And like I said already, it can lead to the development of a very, very disordered relationship with eating, with exercise, and with your body, and with so many other things in your life. It can lead to experiences of low mood, it can lead to experiences of anxiety, it can lead to feelings of panic in the absence of exercise, or when spontaneous plans get in the way of that feeling of being able to be productive. It can make life incredibly difficult for you if it hasn't done so already. And if you've made it so far in this video, it's probably because you already relate to this experience. I want you to just take a minute to think about what it has actually cost you to not have developed the capacity or the tools to know how to actually genuinely relax. Not just tell yourself up here that you're relaxing, but genuinely feel at ease, be able to yield into the moment, connect with the present moment without that overriding feeling of anxiety completely getting in the way and blocking you from genuinely being able to just take a minute. If it hasn't already, it will probably lead to problems with your partner. If you don't have a partner and you want to have a partner, think about how this has actually maybe gotten in the way of you being able to make connections with other people, how you've maybe prioritized this feeling of having to be too busy all the time, and you feel like you're actually missing out on those moments of connection, and that's reinforcing that feeling of loneliness, reinforcing a feeling of maybe I'm not good enough, which again reinforces the idea that you have to keep going to escape that feeling of not being good enough. It's maybe impacted on your relationship with family because you've missed out or cancelled on events because you felt like you had to be doing loads of other shit, or maybe because you had this fear that if you stopped, or if you couldn't exercise, or if you couldn't be in control of your food, that the whole world would break down, and that you would have this again fear of gaining weight, and that is unacceptable for you, and therefore you cancelled on events, and that's maybe distanced you from people that are genuinely important to you in your life. And I say family, it could also be friends. Think of how much this has cost you. And I don't mean to say this in a way that is shaming and blaming, because I know that nobody chooses this. I know that nobody wakes up and goes, oh, I can't wait to feel anxious and stressed, and I can't wait to not feel good enough, and I can't wait to feel like I have to escape this feeling of not being good enough. I can't wait to fear weight gain. I can't wait to feel terrified by what is having a day off the gym going to do to my body. Nobody in their right mind wakes up wanting to feel those things. Nobody chooses to feel those things, so it's not your fault. But now that you're aware of it, you can do something about that, and that is where it is your responsibility to address this if it feels like it's getting in the way of you living a meaningful and fulfilling life. If it's getting in the way of you being able to actually genuinely enjoy exercising, enjoy going out for food, enjoy eating healthy. Doing all these things doesn't have to be problematic. You don't have to stop exercising just because right now exercise is something that is compensating for your feeling of not being good enough, okay? It's not one or the other. It's changing the way that you feel about yourself so that you can engage in those activities that do provide meaning in your life, but do that in a way that doesn't make it so dependent and so rigid and so fixed, and that doesn't place so many strict and perfectionistic demands on you, because that has a cost, and that comes with a toll. And the toll might be that you overeat to be able to find ways to self-soothe, and that overeating leads to either weight gain or shame or fear of weight gain that then need to compensate. Or it could be that in constantly being on the go, you are causing yourself or putting yourself at risk of causing yourself increasing amount of physical and of course mental harm for both of those. And I've already hinted towards it in the video, but the solution to this is to actually learn to be in the presence of discomfort, in the presence of the discomfort of not being good enough. And I am making an assumption about you, but I have been doing this job for over half a decade, and that has taught me that when we are not able to pause, it is because we are avoiding something. If all behavior makes sense in context, constantly being on the go makes sense, because more often than not, when I am busy, when I am doing shit all of the time, shit that is productive or shit that is, again, given lots of merit by society, I am often avoiding coming into contact with my intrinsic and inherited and deep personal belief that I am not good enough. And like I said, it makes a lot of sense, because nobody in their right mind would ever want to come into contact with that feeling voluntarily, certainly if they don't know what to do with it. Hence why learning how to build a tolerance of discomfort in the presence of a feeling of not good enough is the first step to be able to actually learn to be at rest. Because when you're at rest, when you're not constantly on the go, that feeling is going to arise. Of course that feeling is going to arise. There's going to be a lot of shame from your inner critic that is telling you that you should be doing things, that you're not good enough, you're not productive, how dare you, you have to keep going. It's going to come up with all of these threats. What if you gain weight? What is that going to mean for you socially? Are you going to continue to be accepted? Will you be loved? What if you're not loved? What if you're not enough? And learning to be in the presence of discomfort is what helps you have those feelings but not be had by those feelings. Have those thoughts but not be had by those thoughts. Allow them to be there without having that same compulsive urge to respond to them through avoidance, to get rid of them straight away, which of course is the thing that we would all be doing in the absence of knowing how the heck to make room for discomfort. And of course, learning how to tolerate discomfort comes in a million different ways, but developing a more compassionate mind and a more self-accepting mind would be the place that I would start. And that's exactly what I do with all of my clients who come to me with this very struggle, because by focusing on being more self-compassionate and more self-accepting, we can build the tools that allow them to know that they've got their own back when shame arises and starts attacking them and starts saying that they should be doing loads and loads of things like exercising more or being productive and completing lots of tasks around the house, for example. By being more self-compassionate, by practicing self-compassion in working with me as a psychologist and a fitness coach, we learn how to start to change the relationship with exercise and the relationship with food, so that it isn't this thing that is completed as a task that is dependent on productivity, on that feeling of being enough. We start to develop the tools that allow my clients to feel good enough at their core, so that that feeling of good enough isn't then dependent on achievement. If you feel good enough at your core, it means that you do not need to be doing things all of the time to fill that void, because you feel good enough. And so anything that you do accomplish goes on top of that feeling of already being good enough, and that is significantly more fulfilling. It's a lot more meaningful, and it poses a much lower risk of burnout, of risk to your physical health by either overconsumption of food or underconsumption of food, by either over-exercise or complete and utter under-exercise. It's a far more sustainable, kind mindset to live with, and the impact that that has on the rest of your life and all the other areas of your life that are important to you goes far beyond anything tangible within like a physique goal, for example. When you learn how to actually relax and be okay with yourself because you feel good enough, you're much better able to connect with the people around you. You're much better able to be spontaneous in your day-to-day life. You're much better able to go out for a meal and not freak out. You're much better able to be invited over to a friend's house, to a family member's house, or to have family members come over to your place unannounced and not have an immediate panic attack and not have this immediate surge of anger or anxiety come over you. That might then even like lead to you feeling shame about the fact that you feel angry and anxious because people that love you came to see you. And I mean, I can't even summarize the whole impact of that shift in mindset. But what I will tell you is that when you learn to feel good enough at your core, if you are the type of person who can't relax and only relaxes when they overeat, you will stop overeating, not because you're more disciplined, but simply because you no longer have the need to put yourself in a carb coma to be able to be still. Equally, when you learn to feel good enough at your core, you stop being as dependent on over exercising and under eating and being so controlled with your body, because there isn't that need to fill that void. There isn't that same need to escape or numb from the feelings of not being good enough, because you feel good enough at your core. And that, as a result, reduces, of course, the likelihood that you will end up experiencing a disordered relationship with food and or with exercise. It increases the likelihood that you'll feel significantly more comfortable with yourself in your body. And more than anything, it ensures that you have a healthy body and a healthy mind that you can continue to tend to for the rest of your life from a place of kindness, from a place of feeling good enough, which means that you're much better able to be flexible and accepting of the change that life will bring with it. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we're all trying to do here? Live a better, happier, more meaningful and more fulfilling life where we can genuinely be healthy, tend to ourselves, and not be obsessing over our body, our productivity, our food, our exercise all of the time, letting those sorts of intrusive thoughts and those pressures take over really important life moments and life experiences. So yeah, the solution to not knowing how to relax and feeling really anxious when you have to take a rest day and feeling really panicked by that is to learn how to be more self-compassionate. It is to learn how to be more self-accepting, and I can help you do exactly that if you reach out via the link in the description and inquire about working with me. But either way, if you want to start tackling that feeling of not being good enough and that discomfort that arises when you have to take a rest, start by thinking about how can you be kinder to yourself, and start by thinking about how can you be more accepting of yourself. Start thinking about how can you build that feeling of being good enough, and I can assure you that over time you will learn how to be at ease in resting, in relaxing, in yielding to the moment, in yielding to your body's needs, and your body, your mind, and the people who love you that are around you will thank you for it. Thanks as always for watching the video. If you liked it, make sure that you give it a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. I'll see you in the next one.